On Hulu, I watched Taxi Driver. I think this is from, oh gosh, was it 1974? 75, 76? Jeez, it was over 40 years ago. So this is starring Robert De Niro as this guy Travis Bickle, I believe. I hadn't actually seen this movie before. It's one of those movies where you see the name brought up, there's a quote from it, You Talking to Me, that just shows up everywhere. So, yeah, it turns out the long form version of that quote is a little not safe for TV. But anyhow, directed by Martin Scorsese. I think this might have been the first movie that really blew up for him. And Robert De Niro, he's like this ex-Marine who is living in New York City, takes a job driving a taxi. He'll drive it anywhere. At night, he'll go into like the darkest, saddest boroughs, and he just drives around town, and he's keeps to himself. You know, he's a shy guy, socially awkward, but he observes. He sees that there's hookers and pimps all over the place, the filth, they're ruining the city. There's this girl who caught his eye, Cybill Shepherd, and she works at this campaign office for this guy running for president. And he notices her, and he seems to go about this kind of creepy. Like, he just kind of looks at her, sort of gets chased away, and then one day he says, "Hey, I want to volunteer." "Oh, you do? Well, what do you think about the guy's position?" "I don't know, I just want to volunteer with you." "Hey, how about we go get something to eat?" And she's like, "Hey, I got a break at like 1 o'clock. You know, it was kind of interesting how this relationship was working, because there was this uneasiness. Like, you couldn't tell if she was trying to blow him off and then reluctantly took this thing so maybe he wouldn't come back, but then decides she had a bit of a laugh with him, thought he was an interesting guy, agrees to meet him for a movie. He takes her to a porn movie house. She gets offended, runs off, and it looks like that's the end of that. You know, this Travis guy, socially awkward, okay? So it seems. Well, as the movie progresses, he just gets more and more outraged about society. What was he, a congressman, ran for president, ends up in the backseat of his taxi. People are always confessing stuff. He tells the guy, "Hey, here's what you need to do to clean things up. You gotta get rid of this trash out here, you know what I'm saying? This is messed up, they're ruining everything." It's like, "I think I see what you're saying, Travis." You know, responds in a very political fashion. I think there was this guy, I think it was Martin Scorsese, he was in the backseat of the taxi at one point, and he's like, "Hey, you see that woman up there in that window? It's my wife. By the way, it's not my apartment. Black guy lives there," only he didn't say black guy, you see what I'm saying? "Yeah, she's cheating on me. I tell you what, I'm going to kill her with this gun and all." Eventually, Travis then decides, you know what, I need to bring a gun with me. Comes across this guy, gun dealer, gets hooked up with the other cabbies. You know, the other cabbies, they kind of all hang out. They treat Travis well enough. They're really like his only pals. Set him up with this gun dealer. Gives him a bunch of stuff, probably illegally. Says he can get him a lot of other things. He's not interested in that. Really starts going into this routine, and here's where things start to change for me. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm Travis Bickle. He's doing like my workout. He's loaded up with guns, and he's preaching the truth, but only to himself, you know, because nobody watches my videos. He's got all the answers for society. Eventually, he shaves his hair to a mohawk, hangs around where this guy ran for president to give him a speech, and it looks like he's going to shoot him. He seemingly tries to, gets spotted before he can pull a gun out, gets chased down the street, runs off, loses the guys. But he's also been sort of hanging out with this 12-year-old prostitute played by Jodie Foster. And he changes, he wants to rescue her, doesn't think this is the right life for her, wants to get her back to her family, but she's reluctant. She'd gotten into his taxi early in the film, has no recollection of that now, how she was trying to escape. She said she was on drugs, that her pimp, who I had a tough time recognizing Harvey Keitel with long hair. Surely that's a wig. Anyways, he's in love with her, but he pimps her out and shit. And yeah, things aren't going too well for her. He goes up to her room one night, starts blowing people away with these guns. Harvey Keitel taking the chest, blows the guy's hand off, all this stuff. Kills like 3 guys, gets shot pretty bad. Cops show up, and he just kind of like takes his finger, pulls the trigger against his head. Looks like he dies. And then you get an odd, happy ending that I didn't see coming. You see these news reports on the wall at Travis's place, how he's a hero, he got out of coma. Taxi driver rescues a 12-year-old prostitute girl, got a note from her parents saying they visited him in the hospital when he's in a coma. They can't afford to come back, but they're in his debt. You know, things are looking pretty good for him. Cybill Shepherd gets in the back seat of his taxi and it's like, hey, I read about you in the paper. He's like, yep, you know, just being a good guy, you know. Then she gets out and she's like, hey, what do I owe you and stuff. She's kind of making it sound like, hey, why don't you come up to my place? He's like, see ya. Bam! Told her. Nope, too good for you. I like that attitude. I like telling her off. No happy ending for her. You know, you snapped at him once, you blew your chance. But you gotta wonder, is this real? You know, it seemed like he probably died from those wounds. Would the paper really pick this up on a Good Samaritan story? I know if I did the same thing, it'd be malicious murderer kills 3 innocent men. That's what would happen. So you gotta wonder, did he die and is this like an imagined ending? I mean, I feel like the door's kind of open for that interpretation and it's probably intentional. Anyhow, I did enjoy this movie. There was the scene where he's loading up with guns. He's like talking to me. He's got this like card thief snatching type mechanism. Pull out a fast gun on somebody quicker than they could. It's a bit of a slow burn, but you know, enjoyable if you're looking for something really gritty that'll make you depressed. Anyways, I give Taxi Driver 3 out of 4 stars.